Mike White, coach of the Bootleggers. Training camp this year has been an open, invitational kind of thing. Tell me about some of the players that have just shown up at training camp this year.
Big Jim Camoga from Muskegon. No. There's been a lot of good ball players from the area. Kenny Wong, Danny Murphy, Rod Moores, Jamie Price. I'll just draw you a list, but there's good talent. Once people will see, once we get going, I think we have more depth than last year, a little more size, probably a little more team speed also.
Last year you started the team because there was a void in football for people who had finished university or junior football and were not going on to the CFL. Are there a lot of players like that still in the Ottawa area?
Oh yeah, quite a few. There's even some who may not be going back to university for whatever reason. Read through the lines. Ottawa's a football, rich, and we could field 2 teams, I think. But I'm pretty happy with the talent overall.
So you think you're going to have more depth than last year?
Yeah, I think so. Sorry about that. Pretty much everywhere, I think, a little more depth. Another bonus is the guys that work together and know, a lot of them know the fellow playing next to them or behind them. So, we're a more mature team overall. I'm not more mature, but the team is.
Last year, as far as quarterbacking was concerned, you had a couple of names that were familiar to Ottawa sports fans. Rick Mitch, a product of Ottawa U, and as well Cam Collins from Carleton U. This year, they've both joined the coaching ranks themselves.
Actually, I think they've both taken jobs as career models, I think, now. Now, Rick's with Ottawa U and Cam's with Carleton. And this year we have Rod Moores, a Robert Borden product. It's a football factory in itself. And we have Jamie Price from out in Acadia, and Tom McKenna from... he played at St. F.X. and he's from South Carleton. So those 3, we have 3 proven quarterbacks, and it looks like Rod is the starter, and followed by Jamie and Tom.
Tell me about Rod Moores.
Well, let's see. He went to Borden, played at U of T, which is a passing-oriented offense. He's a student of the game, very intelligent. He doesn't really like to roll out. He can if he has to. More of a drop-back quarterback. Reads defense as well. He's a real leader. It's almost like a coach on the field. And last year he played and coached in Italy. So it's interesting for him coming back here speaking English.
Can you assess yet what type of offense we can expect to see?
No, I think we're well balanced. I think we'll be able to attack from pretty much anywhere in any method. So that's what we try to kind of stress for. At the beginning of the year, my fault last year, we were pass happy, and that's, I guess, the Canadian syndrome. Well, let's pass the ball. We're Canadians, we can pass, but we found at the end of the year we could just run on these guys. So I'm going to try and establish a ground game a little quicker this year.
Looking at training camp, you've had a bunch of different coaches come in to give you a hand. Tell me about some of the guys who have been leading the team through its drills.
Well, we have at defensive line Greg Marshall, ex-CFL all-everything, and Rick Soviet, another ex-CFL all-everything. We have Ian Hoyt back doing defensive backs. And on the offensive side, Bob Swan, offensive coordinator. He was with Carleton U, Ottawa, RMC. We have Alex Saunders, is pretty well known in the Ottawa community football. And Mark McGee's back doing wide receivers, and we have Richard Holmes, another ex-rider doing the running backs. So strong coaching staff. It's nice coaches last year. Kevin Dalladay's with Carleton U now. Bob Stevens, the head coach of the Sooners. So we're spreading out, good contacts. Everyone, it's a football fraternity here in town. It's nice.
Last year you did a lot of talking about beating Americans, about different grudges you held, different cliques you wanted to...
Marketing. No, it's when it comes down to it, it's just another colored jersey on the other side of the ball. And these guys just want to play football and play with a lot of pride and prove that Ottawa is, there's a lot of talent here. And some of these guys maybe have an axe to grind, but most of them are out for fun, for exposure, for another shot at pro, for a first shot at pro, for a scholarship. But the bottom line is play because you love to, and it's for fun. That's why we're all here.
Any surprises this training camp?
Jeff Morris hasn't lost a pound. Other than that, not really. Jamie Straw, Steve Alon, Brian Bino, they've all worked in the off-season with Craig Taylor with his Polaris Track Club. We hired him as a sprint coach, and they all look excellent. 40s are all down about 2/10. And Craig will be with us all year, so hopefully get those big linemen rumbling a little faster by the end of the year. So get a bug on you there.
Thanks.
Okay. Tonight against the Brooklyn Mariners. Ottawa ranked 5th in the Independent League, Brooklyn 6th. Brian Smith was at the game. Tell us a bit about it, Smitty. It was a thrilling finish, I understand.
Dan, a tremendously exciting football game tonight at Lansdowne Park. The Ottawa Bootleggers beat the Brooklyn Kings 16-13 thanks to a 65-yard touchdown by the exciting Jamie Straw with about 10 seconds left in the game. Brooklyn got on the board first in the first quarter. Lorenzo Chambers, number 37, a former New Jersey General of the USFL, scored. And then another former pro, Warren Loving, number 45, he played with the Buffalo Bills, scored a touchdown in the second quarter. It was 13-0 for Brooklyn at the half. The Bootleggers got going in the third quarter. A former Suitor, Mike Sheeran, scored a touchdown, making it 13-7. And then the dramatics of Jamie Straw. Late in the game, he caught a 65-yard pass and run for a touchdown, which just brought the crowd to its feet here. 6,500 fans went crazy, along with the Bootleggers and, of course, Jamie Straw. Great concentration there. You tipped it up in the air and came down and you got it.
A little bit of luck in there, we'll take it.
Tell me about the play.
I was supposed to run a 10-yard out, but the corner went to the out, so I just took it out the field, and Rodney read it perfectly.
And just a perfect ending. The Bootleggers now 2-0 on the year. They play again on August the 5th against Baltimore. That is at Lansdowne Park. Montreal Expos.
And they play it tough. To get an idea of what the Bootleggers are all about, all you have to do is check out the tickets. On Saturday night, the enemy was the Brooklyn Kings, ranked 6th, one place behind the Bootleggers, who went to the finals in the Empire League in their inaugural season last year. This season, Ottawa is playing as an independent.
Deep curl, but you got to send your wideouts.
The team was formed by head coach Mike White and kicker Jeff Morris, both former university players, and operates on a budget of between $60,000 and $90,000.
We have a very flexible budget. You know, we don't spend a lot of money, we don't bring in a lot of money, but we're doing okay.
Revenue comes from sponsors and season tickets. They sold $1,000 to $30 each. It costs $5 at the gate. Kids get in free. And the Bootleggers are catching on. They had 6,500 at Lansdowne on Saturday night.
I think it's great. I think they blow the Riders right away.
American rules all the way. American rules. That's the way to do it.
It's great. We work with one of the fellows on the team.
And there's more than football at Bootleggers games, where the Grim Reaper patrols the sideline. And the Legger girls lead the cheers.
A lot of these girls were fans last year of the Bootleggers, and we saw that even though it's a semi-pro team, they show a lot of enthusiasm and fun for football in Ottawa, and these girls wanted to get down on the field and help support this.
Nobody gets paid on the Bootleggers roster. They all played either college or junior ball. Like exciting receiver Jamie Straw, a former Sooner, they're in it for the fun.
That's it. It's all it ever is for any of us. None of us have ever really been paid except for a few, so it's love of the game.
Assistant coach Rick Sovietta played 116 games for the Rough Riders. Who better to ask about the caliber of this football?
You saw that last play with Jamie Straw. I could tell you that guy could play in the CFL. And we got some linebackers that could easily play in the CFL.
The play Sovietta was referring to was this dramatic last-second touchdown by Straw, which beat Brooklyn 16-13. We'll give the final word to Miss Ottawa Bootlegger, Pearl Fleming.
You gotta be a touchdown getter, you bet. If you wanna get a cutie to pet, the fact that you are tall and handsome won't get you anything in curls. You gotta be a football hero to get along with a beautiful girl.
And next home game for the Bootleggers, Saturday night against the Baltimore Bears. The more I see of the Bootleggers, the more convinced I become that the CFL should cut back the import quota and increase Canadian content with the emphasis on local players. That's what the CFL was intended to be in the first place. To be successful in the future, it has to get back to where fans know and relate to the players. Cut back to 6 or 8 Americans. Give the local guys a chance. The talent is available. It's the only way to go. I'm Brian Smith.
Wandafuka from Clark, where the Riders play. The team playing the U.S. game is called the Bootleggers. Bruce Chicato has the story.
They're something more than weekend warriors, something less than hometown heroes. They're an all-Canadian team in an otherwise all-American league, playing in the nation's capital. These are the Bootleggers.
We're the only true Canadian team. We don't play in the CFL, but this is Canadian football.
They play in the American Minor Football League Alliance against teams from places like Brooklyn and Baltimore. They seem to appeal to that deep, dark Canadian fans' penchant for American rules, American-style football, and that universal penchant for teams who win more than lose, something the troubled professional Rough Riders can't do.
They get together and they have a bunch of good laughs. They play hard football when they're on the field. There's no comedy there.
Bootleg ball, as it's called, attracts over 6,000 to some games, partly with brash marketing like this promotion, Carolyn Waldo Night, handing out nose pegs in honor of the world champion synchronized swimmer. Later this season, they will go so far as halftime shows of midget tag team wrestling. It's at least a change from the endless series of Rough Rider losses both on and off the field.
One of the things that we've got coming up is we're handing out kazoos so that the Ottawa football fans will be heard. And I'd say that's a little bit of a page out of the Bootleggers book.
On one. Ready? Go.
Bootleggers play just for expenses, no salary. Most are ex-college or junior stars. The quarterback's finishing a doctorate. The right tackle is an accountant. A few had brief, unhappy stints in the CFL.
When I quit playing football in the CFL, I just hated football. It was just a drudge day in, day out, treated poorly. And then you come here, you get treated poorly, but so does everybody else. And a great bunch of guys.
The Bootleggers insist they have neither the intention nor the ability to put the more established Rough Riders out of business. Rather than establishing a beachhead for American football in Canada, they claim to be merely trying to breathe some life back into the moribund state of football here on the Rideau Canal. Bruce Chicato, CTV News, Ottawa.
I mean, football fans from across Canada are flocking here for the Grey Cup, and we're hosting it, the city with the worst team in the league. Boy, if only we had a real football team. Real football team. Okay, now I know I'm dreaming. It's Lansdowne Park, all right, but Ottawa football fans actually cheering on their team? And what's this? Ottawa's winning the game. Come on. Could this really be the Ottawa Rough Riders? Of course not. This is an Ottawa football team that wins. The Ottawa Bootleggers.
In the capital of the nation, there's a new football sensation. The Bootleggers are the new creation, and we're gonna kick the Bootleggers in the air.
The Bootleggers is the newest and only Canadian team in the EFL, the American Empire Football League.
It's a big Jim Gamokas, and it's great to be playing in the EFL, the Empty Football League, and I'm real glad to be here.
And these guys don't get paid to play football. They do it for fun. And their idea of fun? Inflicting pain.
And destroy them. Cause some pain.
No pain, no gain.
Oh, we're gonna hurt them, man.
We're gonna kill them, of course. Don't do anything about it.
Most of these guys figure they're good enough to play in the pros, but for one reason or another just haven't made it. So they have other professions. Tim Saunders, for example, is a chartered accountant. Andy Waterman is in telecommunications. Otis Blackett works in construction, and Clark Oliver is in the advertising game. All straight jobs, sure, but get these guys together for football, and you have a team that's earned the reputation of being a bunch of lunatics.
Get out, all you people in Ottawa. We're gonna rap to you. We're talking football. You know what's gonna happen when it comes to ball. Ottawa Bootleggers, standing tall.
Head coach Mike White, a stockbroker in real life, has the formidable task of trying to keep all the lunatics in line.
Oh, it's more like a ringmaster. I don't really coach. I just sort of stand there going, yeah, okay, fine. So, the majority of them just like to have fun, play football for fun, and to knock the crap out of the next guy, and take real pride in it.
Now, because the Bootleggers play in an American league, they have to play American rules football. The American field is longer, so one of the goalposts has to be removed. The field's also narrower, so new sidelines have to be laid down. Is this what free trade's all about? Well, at least the national anthem is Canadian. The national anthem sung by Elvis, the bootlegger mascot, the Grim Reaper, all in fun? Not really. When the game begins, these guys take it all very seriously.
Too many people here to disappoint them with a shitty game. Let's do it. Go! Go on. 1, 2, 3, Bootleggers. 1, 2, 3, Bootleggers! Come on, get them!
This is the last game of the regular season. The Bootleggers have already earned a playoff berth.
Here we go! All right, good hit, good hit, good hit! Good job, guys, good job. Way to go, Black.
The foes on the other side of the field are from Watertown, New York. Most from an Army base there. Now, Yankees aren't used to losing, but with the game barely 10 minutes old, Watertown is getting clobbered, 13-0. The fans, more than 5,000 strong, just love it.
Finally have a team in Ottawa that can win.
They're good. Far better than I won't say who.
This is my attempt to be part of the Team Silver and Black. I used to have a red and white outfit for Ottawa Roughriders, but after 31 years I've had it.
Back to the locker room at halftime, the score's 20-0. You'd think these guys would be happy.
Why, you guys were down!
No way. They want blood. Riders, take note.
We're home, man, we're home! Look at the crowd! Go and have some fun! Kick ass!
As the second half begins, the bootlegger philosophy becomes clear.
We like to beat up Americans. I love to kick their ass. It's great.
But as it turns out, the bootleggers get beat up first. Quarterback Jamie Crawford is hit hard after the whistle.
You okay?
An ambulance is called to get him off the field.
4-0.
The player who hit him, Watertown's number 40. And the bootleggers are mad, really mad.
You better get him out now.
And number 40, well, he decides to make a hasty exit. But a few plays later, he's back on the field, and a bootlegger never forgets. After that, the game turns ugly. Players are pummeled. Penalties are called. Tempers rage and fights break out all over the field. And the fans? Well, they just can't get enough. At one point, the Watertown coach even offers to surrender. Coach Mike White just laughs in his face.
This other coach is whining now that let's let our guys loose and say, hey, let's maybe take some shots like they've been taking us all game. The refs let it get out of hand. What can you say?
Finally, the game ends. Bootleggers 37, Watertown 6. Back in the locker room, the players, still seething, cool down with a cold beer. After all, it's only a game, guys.
The Bootleggers went all the way to the finals this season, but they lost the EFL Championship game by 1 touchdown to Scranton. Doesn't matter, they're still good enough to make me change my colors. Riders, take note.
Already have the Rough Riders, the GGs, and the Ravens, but as our Breen Murray reports, the new guys on the block are offering something unique and different.
Football fans in Ottawa are turning out in large numbers to see something they haven't seen in a long, long time. That is a winning football team. These are the Bootleggers, and they play American rules football, yes, right down to the 4 down. The players are former collegians in Canada and the States, and CFLers as well, who simply still want to play the game of football.
Well, I got a job here in town that isn't playing football, so it's my only chance to get out and hang out with the fellas and run up and down the field and scream my head off and hit the odd guy now and then.
Yeah, I think everybody on the team feels that way. There's a couple guys that are shooting to get another shot, but yeah, it's a good time. Everybody enjoys it.
The Bootleggers were organized last year to play against only American semi-pro teams in the northeastern United States. They lost in the league final. But semi-pro football denotes money. However, with ticket prices of $5, nobody is going to make a living playing bootlegger football.
Nobody gets paid, and they don't get paid anything. So, I mean, they all just do it because they love to do it. I don't even get paid. I wish I could pay myself. Send money.
However, the 5,000 fans who show up at these Saturday night games at Lansdowne Park may come for reasons other than the football. For instance, at a recent home game, Elvis sang "O Canada," but some American fans stole the microphone to sing for their song.
Yeah, we have a great time. It's a winning season, like always with the Bootleggers, so we're ready for another win tonight.
Is this a lot of fun cheering for the Bootleggers?
Oh, definitely, because it's all home. It's all Ottawa talent, which is even better. We're from Ottawa, they're from Ottawa.
Who's sat behind you?
Who sat behind me? This is Elvis. It's Elvis Night. He comes alive tonight.
Elvis Night tonight.
Provided by the Bootleggers at Lansdowne Park. They promise you more than just winning football, and so far, they have delivered. Let's go to Lansdowne Park, or Death Valley Park, as the Boots like to call it, for the highlights. A season-high crowd of 8,518 to see Ottawa take on Chalmersburg, Pennsylvania. The Bootleggers in black cap off their opening drive of the night with a touchdown. Mike Sheeran cuts back to the middle and goes in for the touchdown. It is 7-0. In the second quarter, they make it 14-zip. Chalmersburg coughs up the ball. Number 4, Dan Murphy, scoops it up, and he will go in for the touchdown. Receiver Jamie Straw had another big night, 196 yards and receptions. He scores a 28-yard touchdown here to make it 21-0 Ottawa at the intermission. And at a Bootlegger game, the fun just never stops. Midget wrestling, the halftime entertainment. Farmer Pete in the overalls, the big winner, beating up on both Little John and a Little Wolf. Back to the game now, and the Boots rack up some more points in the second half. Jamie Straw with his second score of the night, making the final 37-6. Rod Moore, 17 for 35, 342 yards tonight. Ottawa's now 4-0 in the season. They play in New Jersey next weekend.
Hats off to the Ottawa Bootleggers tonight. A lot of people, myself included, got turned off the Boots a few weeks ago when their management pulled that sleazy move to get out of making a road trip to Baltimore. But that was a management decision. It had nothing to do with the players. Unfortunately, they were the ones to suffer as fan and media interest dropped off dramatically. Only about 1,500 watched the Boots defeat the Marlborogh Shamrocks yesterday afternoon, and that's too bad, because despite bad weather conditions, it might have been the most entertaining game played at Lansdowne this year. If you haven't seen quarterback Rod Moore's hook up with wide receiver Jamie Straw, then you're really missing something. The Bootleggers play Brooklyn at Lansdowne Park this Saturday afternoon. If they win, they're in the final, and they really deserve our support. That's sports. I'm Brian Smith.
While Grey Cup fever rages in Toronto this weekend, the Canadian football team has been quietly conquering an American league. The Ottawa Bootleggers are the only Canadian team in the semi-professional American Football League Alliance. They've been on an amazing winning streak. Nancy Rose has more in this report.
Canadian football teams may be in trouble, but not this one. Canadian teams are pulling in fewer and fewer fans, but not this one.
Set, hold.
It's the Ottawa Bootleggers, the only Canadian team in the Semi-Pro Football Alliance. These guys are getting ready to conquer the United States.
They say we're going to kick this Canadian team back over the border, and it's a lot of fun because before the game they're all razzing us, and you know, after the game they can't believe it. They're all shaking their heads, and you know, we're just laughing. A lot of guys like to wear little Canadian flags on their helmets and stuff just to rub it in a little bit, you know.
On this snow-covered field in Ottawa's Lansdowne Park, this team in green from Boston is about to enter what Bootlegger fans call Death Valley. The Bootleggers have not been beaten all year. They're ranked #1.
A Canadian team kicking ass. That's what it is.
In the opening minutes, receiver Jamie Straw scampers 95 yards for a touchdown. He's a star with the Bootleggers, but he couldn't make the CFL's Ottawa Rough Riders 2 years ago.
There's a lot of guys in our team that the CFL could be using, but I guess there's 46 full-time coaches in the CFL, and if you want to do a story, find out how many are Canadian. It's a Canadian Football League, and they come up here, run our league, and they let us play in it.
The hometown boys play well. They sell well, too. On a day when it isn't snowing, the Bootleggers have been known to pull in almost 9,000 fans.
We have people that we know on the team. They're an Ottawa team, and we've been supporting them for 2 years now, and they're great.
How can you get any better? The CFL don't compare to minor football. It's all Canadian.
And the thing that makes the Bootleggers unique is it's all hometown boys. Fans like that. It's not like the CFL where they bring in Joe Blow from somewhere down in Texas, and then after the season gone, he's gone.
Here comes 6 more, Boston boys. Here comes 6 more.
He's right. The Boston boys have a bad day in Death Valley.
the Bootleggers win the quarterfinal playoff game 30-19. So as the troubled CFL comes to its annual East-West Classic, Canadians can take heart. The American League Championships have come to Canada's capital, and a bunch of hometown boys could win it all. Nancy Rowe, CBC News, Ottawa.
And the Bootleggers put another notch in their belts today. They beat the Brooklyn Mariners 42-14 in the semifinals of their league. They'll play the finals in Ottawa next week against Wisconsin.
As John Ruddle reports, the Bootleggers' great play on the field is matched by enthusiastic yet strange behavior by their fans.
To most people, a day like this is regarded as miserable. It is cold, snowing, and sitting for hours watching a football game makes these conditions harder to take. But as the Ottawa Bootleggers romp the visiting team from Brooklyn, New York, these fans aren't feeling the chill. Like the eccentric team of players on the field, these fans are a rare breed. 2,100 supporters have come out to watch what they call a tougher game of football.
What brings you out on such a cold day to watch the Bootleggers?
Ottawa spirit. We want a team to play ball, and we got a team here that plays ball versus the other one that doesn't. That's why I'm here.
No, we're still Rider fans. Oh yeah. I think we should replace them with the Bootleggers, though. I've cheered more today than I did all year.
There's a good reason for this team's peculiar popularity. Most of these guys are from Ottawa, and most of these fans are friends and family. If you don't believe these fans are weird, wait until you see them cheer on the snow removal equipment. Ask these people whether they would rather watch the Grey Cup in the climate-controlled Sky Dome, and they'd tell you it's not real football, and it's certainly not bootlegger football. John Ruddle, CJOH News.
They're trying to put the boots to the boots. There's never a dull moment with bootlegger football, and now they're in the battle with the commissioner of the U.S. Minor League Football Alliance over the right to host the championship game at Lansdowne this weekend. The controversy was started by the Brooklyn Mariners, who were beaten 42-14 by the Bootleggers in the semifinal at icy Lansdowne Park Saturday afternoon. Brooklyn has protested the game, claiming the Bootleggers used industrial staples in their shoes, giving them an unfair advantage. The Boots admit they tried the staples in the warm-up, but claim they disregarded them because they were too uncomfortable. They claim they're victims of a conspiracy.
Definitely is more to it. Racine, who is the defending national champ, and that's where the commissioner's from, he's under incredible political pressure to have the national championship back in Racine. They just can't handle us going to the dance and leaving with their girl. And we've earned the right to be at home, and as far as I'm concerned, we're going to be at home. The whole thing is just a big non-issue. If it wasn't this, it'd be something else. It was a farce. During the game, we were the ones who were checking in their shoes. They had some people with track spikes on, and they changed them at halftime because they knew we were onto them. If we had stuff in the bottom of our shoes, I really don't think we'd be going to the referees asking to check the shoes.
Football in Canada this season. We've got a championship game of our own in Ottawa thanks to the Bootleggers. Now, last Saturday afternoon at Lansdowne Park, the Bootleggers beat the Brooklyn Mariners 42-14 in the sudden death semifinal. The Bootleggers are truly #1. They have a record of 12 wins and no losses. They now advance to the final against Racine, Wisconsin. That game will be played on the weekend, but it may not be in Ottawa. Now, the Bootleggers earn the right to play the championship here, but that doesn't sit well with the team from Wisconsin. And Mike White, the coach of the Ottawa Bootleggers, is standing by to explain what is going on right now. Mike, what's happening? What's Racine coming up with? And what can they really have to prove that they shouldn't play the game in Ottawa this weekend?
It sort of goes back to when you're in grade 4, whoever owned the ball said, unless I'm the quarterback, we're not going to play. They're going on the assumption that they're the defending national champions. They have questions about the weather conditions, the field markings, you name it. They didn't think it would be us and them. They thought it was going to be Brooklyn and them. We really did a job on Brooklyn. We beat them 42-14 in Brooklyn earlier in the year, beat Racine 10-0. I think we shocked everyone except ourselves. And now Racine is, immediately after the game, they had 3 of their coaches here, and they started talking about, the game's got to be in Racine. It's juvenile, it's childish, and the fact of the matter is the commissioner of the association.
Okay, you're getting to the. I was going to ask you about that. You know, if the team says we don't want to play, but they have no say in this, it has to come from the league, doesn't it?
Yeah. Well, the thing is, to complicate matters, the Brooklyn team, who we destroyed, they're claiming that we used staples on their shoes. The only way they heard about that.
Did you use staples?
Well, we tried them out in the pregame warm-up. They didn't work. As a matter of fact, they went right through the soles of some guy's shoes and gave him sort of a hot foot. So they weren't an issue during the game. We didn't use them during the game.
When are you going to find out whether that game will be played in Ottawa this Saturday?
Hopefully in the next 24 hours. The thing is, you know, Brooklyn lodging a protest. They would love to have the game declared a forfeit and them to play Racine.
But you're not going to back out of this game, are you?
No bloody way.
Okay, if it's not in Ottawa, where will it be played?
I don't care. If it's on the surface of the moon, we'll play it. We're going to beat these guys no matter where we play. We're a better team, and we're not going to be denied. They're scared. You should have seen their faces after the game. They were in shock. They'd never seen a defensive exhibition like ours. And if Brooklyn wants to claim staples or whatever, bottom line is we played smarter. When we kicked off to them, we kicked to the corner of the field into the ice. They kicked off to us. It was down the middle. We just ran it right back up their throats down the middle where there was some traction.
Mike, maybe it doesn't help being the only Canadian team in that American League.
Well, I'm sure.
A little jealousy, do you think?
Oh, a lot of jealousy. They can't handle it.
Okay, Mike.